Hello, families. Sorry if you're watching this while I'm going live here. Oh, yep. So, I'm even after all this time, still getting used to how this system works. I think it starts recording and starts broadcasting when I click button A, and I think it's when I click button B, but here we are. So, if you and I have not spoken before, or you haven't watched one of my videos, my name is Vincent Montoya. I'm one of the fantastic team of 3 deans at eCADEMY K8, and us three, we three, I think that's the way you say it, are part of the great admin team that are trying to make sure that your student is learning in this online environment. So thank you for joining us this evening. In the description of the video on YouTube, you should find a Meet link to this event. If you would like to come in and knock in on that Meet in order to ask a question. I am taking questions live from families. This is our website. This is the event with the link to YouTube. You can click that live stream here, and then there is the copyable link for the Google Meet if you would like to go ahead and chime in and ask a question. But there are a couple of items that I wanted to cover today, and welcome to the chaos, right? We are confronted? No, we are also struggling with the cyber attack that is affecting all of APS. So right now our student information system is inaccessible, and it's making it very difficult to do even presentations like this, where I would have access to a ton of data to share with you this evening. Unfortunately, it's been several days that information is just inaccessible. So I'm going to do my best to make this presentation informative, yet also short, because you don't have access to some of the systems I'm going to be discussing today. I want to cover our communication out to you and what you should expect and how you should receive that. That's why I have our homepage open. Then I would like to share with you some of the struggles we're having with attendance, and then discuss our family engagement plan for this semester. It's the beginnings of a plan. We're hoping that you can join us, you and your student can join us in engaging in some activities that are non-academic but are helpful for you and your student to work collaboratively on, and hopefully make this online environment feel like it's a little bit more their home. So their school, like walking into a classroom. Our first activity in our family engagement Google Classroom is to make the Chromebook more custom. So if you've ever decorated a locker, that's what we're trying to do with your Chromebook. So let's go ahead and start off with ParentVUE. Why do we focus as a school so much on communicating to our families with ParentVUE? And I'm going to start with middle school first. Middle school students have several general education teachers. The vast majority of our students do. And that means gathering information from all of your teachers, all teachers together, looking at grades from all teachers together. It can be a lot of work. And if you're a family that is blessed, I guess is the best way to phrase it, with several middle school students, then you're managing a group of 6th grade teachers and 7th grade teachers and 8th grade teachers, or whatever combination of those you might be working with. We want to make sure that our communication to you is efficient and is easily accessible by you as a family. So that's why we focus a lot of our communication in ParentVUE. It's very direct for teachers to open up a classroom and send a class-wide communication. We know that if you have changed your contact info, your phone number or email address, that hopefully, and I'm asking actually right now, if you have made any of those changes, please contact our office. Once we have access to the SIS, the Student Information System, once we have access to the SIS again, we're definitely going to update that in your file. And when we do, and a teacher goes to reach out to you via phone or email, they know they're going to have the most up-to-date information. So if we had our teachers going out and using multiple systems, and some of them were getting updated and some of them weren't, you might be missing out on communications, important communications from your student's teacher. We don't want that to happen. So another benefit, and I'm going to go ahead and just directly share this with you so we don't just stay stuck on this screen, is While you're in ParentVUE, you are going to have access, especially at the middle school, not only to your students' information, I'm sorry, your students' communications, but also grades and attendance. So you can see this is from a long time ago. Most data is blacked out here. This is going to give us some framework. I can't log into a current parent's account, right? That's going to be sharing their students' information. So I've created this presentation a while back and altered it for this session. This shows a family with multiple students, and up here in the upper left-hand corner, at least when you're on a desktop, you have access to select one of your multiple students and see just their information. And what's great is this is true across APS. So if you have a middle school student with us, but you have an elementary school student with a brick and mortar school, you can still see both of their information from one login in ParentVUE. I imagine I'm a person of, God, I'm losing my words this evening. I have a child. I have just one child. She is well out of grade school. I may as well take a moment to brag. She's in law school. She's doing great. But anyway, it's been a while since she's been in school. But I imagine just going in and getting that information would be really easy. And I don't have multiple students, so I don't know what that's like. I do know, however, from those families that I do talk to that have multiple students, being able to see all of their information in one screen is incredibly helpful, right? In managing backpacks, assignments, due dates with multiple kiddos. When you want to go access information from school, we feel, at least, and we hope that you feel the same, that going into one place to see all of it is helpful. So this is why we focus our communications through ParentVUE. You can also double check your account information. Like I said, if your phone numbers are incorrect, if your email is incorrect, please contact our office. You can contact me directly. I can make those edits, of course, once we have access to SIS. I can make those edits for you. Feel free to send me an email, montoya_v@aps.edu. We're going to talk a little bit more about email here in a bit too. So here, this is Synergy Mail. Now, the thing about the Synergy Mailbox is that it does not differentiate per student. When you come into this inbox, you are going to see communications from all of your students, and some teachers might be fantastic about altering that subject line and saying, attendance concern or grade concern or due dates for Vincent Montoya, and then include the student's name in that subject line, right? And then sometimes the subject line might just say update, right? And you don't know, well, what update am I getting? Am I getting it for my first grader, my fourth grader, my eighth grader? And that might be a little frustrating, but what a great thing about Synergy Mail is that when the teacher sends it from their Synergy inbox, it not only shows the teacher's name, but it shows the student associated with that teacher and how you're connected to that teacher. So in the subject line, I'm not sharing any subjects here because this was a live inbox at some point back in 2019, way back in 2019. In the subject line, you are going to see the teacher's name and the student's name. So it's a fantastic place to go and find all communications, but be able to differentiate for which student that communication was written. Okay, and all that's right here in the inbox. I know if your general email inbox is anything like mine, you're seeing advertisements and sales for Target and Best Buy and everything else. Donate blood. There's a shortage right now. If you can, go for it. And all of that is getting mixed in with communications from school, and sometimes those communications can get lost. I promise you're never going to get a Target advertisement in your ParentVUE inbox. Promise. So this is a great place to go and look for those communications. Okay. Sending a communication to a teacher. This is a great official way to make sure that that your message is making it to the teacher's inbox, because when you click new and when you click to, you get the option to select all of your students' teachers. You see all of your students' teachers' names there. If you need to send a message to someone that's not on that list, you can come over here and click staff and do a search there. I don't know a lot of folks that have made use of the groups and contact lists, but if you're hyper organized in that space, you could go ahead and do that. And then of course, if you needed to reach your student's counselor, the system identifies who that student's counselor is. and I believe that's even true in our space, even though we're a K8 school, and you can go ahead and click that. If you need to go out and look for names of our teachers, because this staff button will search by name, you can always go to our website, go to the Contact Us page, and you will see everything broken down based on grade levels, okay? However, this is my favorite button ever. This sends one message at the middle school level to all of your students' teachers. Now, if your students in elementary school, they're going to have fewer teachers. You might have to go and look up, let's say you need to send a message, let the music teacher, art teacher, PE teacher, tech teacher know, gen ed teacher, special ed teacher. They may not all be on this list, but of course you can have another tab open, go to our Contact Us page, find those names, and use this staff button to go ahead and find those folks, okay? And then when you create that email, it is going to look pretty much like a standard email inbox, right? You've got the direct message, the to field, you have your carbon copy field, and then you have the BCC, which is blind carbon copy, which means they get a copy of the message, but they don't see everyone else that's on that message, okay? Now, since you're here checking messages, you can also click over here on this tab and see your students' attendance, right? Sometimes it might be accurate, and you're just like, yep, that makes sense. We called in on September the 5th, and there's an absence there. That makes perfect sense. Or you might be like, wait, my student was there all day on the 11th. I don't understand why they got marked absent. You're going to see that information here. Again, once we get our SIS system up, right now, it's been very problematic. So thank you for your patience as the largest district in New Mexico has to deal with this situation right now. We don't have access to information. You don't have access to information. So we're just kind of sitting and patiently waiting while everyone is doing their best to get this fixed. But back to ParentVUE, you're here, you can see attendance. Then you can click right over to Gradebook. And at the mid-school level, we are updating grades every Monday. There, of course, this week with the hack, there's hiccups. But for the most part, you should expect your students' grades to be updated by a Monday evening. And that's something I wanted to introduce today. We have a great idea for engaging your student. I'm going to talk about that in the family engagement section of this video. So let me do a quick check on that Google Meet, make sure there's no one in there waiting. Nope, we're looking good. Okay, so back here, you can check on grades. Now at the elementary level, Synergy isn't necessarily the place that you're going to be looking for grades. Definitely get in touch and stay in touch with your general ed teacher to get the best bead on how your student is doing with not only completing work, but also completing work and working on their errors. When we talk about the role of a learning coach, which I'm going to do briefly, we're going to talk about that, allowing your student to turn in work that isn't 100% correct, but we'll get there in a bit. But if you want to get a beat on how your student is doing at the elementary level, definitely develop a relationship with their general ed teacher and special ed teachers, and just open those communication channels, okay? So with Synergy, which is our side of things, we call it Synergy, but it's TeacherVUE, ParentVUE, and StudentVUE. With ParentVUE, you have access to all of this information. So this is why we focus on the communications coming out through Synergy. Now, when we send full school-wide communication, we send that out through School Messenger, because School Messenger allows us to both send emails and phone calls. So if you see a phone call, they are being sent from our school phone number, which is this phone number right here. I recommend adding that to your contact list on your cell phone so that when we come through, you'll know that it's a message from the school. And as you know, our office spends most of their time receiving phone calls rather than making them. Many of the times, if you're receiving a phone call from us, it's going to be about some school-wide communication, some school-wide change, very much like this whole SIS situation that we're dealing with. We sent out school messenger messages that went to both email and phone. Sometimes those phone messages are going to be short. We're just letting you know that we have posted information on our website. We don't want you to have to listen to a 2-minute reading of an email through your phone. Instead, we'll give you the gist and then let you know that it's posted here. Also, if you lose that email, know that if we're sending out school-wide emails, just like this, the school closure, welcome to the Explorer family, we sent that out as a communication and we posted that information here in the news section of our website. Okay, so news section is a great communication tool. Our calendar section is a great communication tool. And then of course our newsletters, which you can find under parents and family. When you open up newsletters, you're going to find that information there. So this is actually a great transition into our family engagement conversation. Again, looking at our meet, it looks like we don't have anyone waiting or anyone knocking. Okay, that's all right. So our family engagement, what we're looking at is building some two-way communication between us and you in a way where we can hear back from you, right? I just described several ways of us communicating out to you. This gives you an opportunity, at least we're building the opportunity, that you can have conversations with us, give us feedback. So here on our newsletter is the section for the family engagement giveaways. So for this first activity, we're actually giving away a wireless light up mouse. You can see more information about that once you're in the Google Classroom. If your student has not accepted that invite to the Google Classroom for family engagement, please have them go ahead and look in there. I have had some students ask me, hey, Mr. Montoya, when are we gonna meet? I'm like, well, this isn't that kind of Google Classroom. We're not having meetings. I'm just sharing activities. Our school is sharing activities that we hope you find engaging, and then incentivizing those with some giveaways. So the first one is this light up remote mouse. Our next one, we're going to be giving away, I believe it's $50 gift certificates for dinner. We can't do that at every grade level, but we're doing it per every grade group. Okay, so for this first one, and t-shirts, stickers, and other prizes in the future. I'm not going to go over everything that's in this video. I took the time to make the video. Hopefully you'll take a second to give it a watch. It gives a little bit more details about the family engagement giveaways. But in addition to this, we are hoping to add activities. Some of them might have more serious topics like attendance and getting connected to some of the important statistics that come from attendance. And that activity we would ask that you and your student watch that and answer a question together. Even this first activity where we're having students customize their Chromebook desktop, not just their browser, but their Chromebook desktop. They learn a couple skills along the way. We hope that you do that together. There's a tool that's introduced there. It's called Canva. They have a lot of free tools and free functionality within their system that allows you to create some pretty dynamic images, and it will be really fun. I've seen some students submit some really interesting backgrounds that I think give me a window as to how they're feeling about school. I mean, the different sections are decorated with different things that I feel are concerning them. And then other students, they really decided, hey, I like Deadpool. I'm going to go find me an image of Deadpool and make that my background. That's fine too. But what we're hoping is that this kind of fun, dynamic activity that introduces your student to some tools that they may be able to use for or outside of school is something that you will do with your child. And on that note, the time that I spent in ParentVUE, we're hoping that maybe moving forward that families can consider creating a schedule to do that regularly. And this is going to sound cheesy, and I'm going to laugh because I laugh at cheesy things, but we're thinking of Taco Tuesdays. And it's taco, like TALK-O, where you and your student talk about, I know, super cheesy, talk about what's going on at school with talking about some of the key things that you can see through ParentVUE, okay? And of course, there's the family portal within Edgenuity, that would also be a great tool. So we're going to share some more information about that moving forward, some frameworks that you might be able to use, but even that 10 minutes of talking about school in a data-centric space. Hey, let's look at your absences. We've been working on that. Looks like you didn't miss a single class last week. Students want to hear that. They want to hear that the extra efforts that they're making are appreciated by their learning coaches and families at home. And sometimes, with all this craziness we have going on, time to do that gets lost. So we're hoping, it's part of our family engagement plan, that we can help facilitate Taco Tuesdays. So that's our hope. We're going to see how this goes, and I hope to have your support in doing that, and we get some good feedback and look at some great things happening because of that. So we have family engagement giveaways, we have family engagement Google Classrooms and activities. If you have any questions, go ahead, try that Meet link, knock, join me in this and ask your question live. I'll do my best to answer it. Okay, so that's family engagement. Now, I did mention learning coaches. Learning coaches are essential to our model. Our model is not designed for a student to tackle everything they have to tackle on their own. Our teachers are really relying on learning coaches to do some of those, let's see, family role details right here, to do some of those things that we can't do because we're in a remote setting. If you've ever sat in on a classroom, most likely you've seen a teacher do a lot of things to manage the space. They're walking in between students' desks, they're sitting down with students in groups, they're making sure that students like me when I was little are not doodling in their spiral and instead are engaging in the content, right? Now, our teachers are doing the best they can. In this remote environment, they have limited ability to engage your students in the same way that a student might do in an in-person classroom. And they're employing those tools to the best of their ability. Where they really need help is, and I, as someone who's integral in the team for monitoring and improving attendance, where we need assistance from learning coaches is to be that monitor, to be that check-in, to make sure that little Vince isn't watching YouTube and is instead watching a video presenting information on the history of the Aztec people or on the uses of the Pythagorean theorem, whatever their content is, that the student during the school day is engaged in those activities. We also understand that every home environment is different. If you can communicate some of the challenges that you might be having because of the configuration of your home environment, maybe timing of work, number of students, whatever it may be, open communication with us and a conversation about how we can help and assist you in that it's available. Please reach out to your teacher, to your counselor. Let us know how we can assist. But that's really key, is how we can assist. We can't do the role of a learning coach and everything that we have to do. So this is a team environment. If your student is struggling and they don't have a learning coach at home, that would probably be the first thing that we would have a conversation about is how a learning coach would be the number one thing that would help a student improve their attendance, engagement, and their outcomes for learning while they're a student with us, right? We are a very unique model. And I know there's many reasons to come to us, especially again with everything going on. However, if you're enrolled with us, it's very important to know how to best make use of our model, how to make it absolutely efficient and productive for your student. And a learning coach is essential. Now, learning coaches, we aren't asking you to teach. And not only are we asking you, we're kind of encouraging you to give your student the freedom to make some mistakes. Because if a teacher only receives work that has been reworked and is perfect every time, they're not going to see the mistakes and misconceptions of your student. And again, I am a father. I was a father of a young child once. That would be very difficult for me, especially from a teaching background. I would want to help my daughter fix everything before she turned it in. However, in this remote learning environment, we only get to see the content that students are either completing during the live meet or the content that they're submitting. And if the content that they're submitting has been filtered through an adult and their learning background, that might hide some of the misconceptions that your students are having that a teacher might need to see and address. So if you find yourself reteaching concepts before your student submits work, spending a lot of time explaining and rephrasing instruction, please reach out to your teacher, have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. I feel like I'm taking on the role of a teacher. What should I be doing instead? What do I need to do to work with you and get you the information you need to use your expertise to help my student? open up that communication channel. So you see how the theme of the evening is communication. Sorry, I have a little fruit fly, either one, flying around and driving me nuts here. So family role details, the role of a learning coach is absolutely important. You'll see right over there on the side, attendance. Attendance is absolutely important. I get it. There's a lot of stress involved, especially with even just our information systems being down. It's a lot of stress among teachers because we don't have access to some of the information that we need. And to make sure that your students' learning pathway is as uninterrupted as possible, we're just pushing through it and doing what we can to make it work. And sometimes we're just at that point, right? So if your student is really struggling with attending, maybe the first day is we just got to push through this and make it work. Let's just go. And as a learning coach, if you're watching your student in that environment and you're seeing some very specific things that you think we can help with, my student's shy and they don't like their camera on. Let me share with you the difference between the two. So I tend to be pretty animated when I speak. I know as a teacher, I relied heavily on students' facial expressions to be able to tell whether my instruction was landing with them or confusing them. Sometimes I use too many analogies in my instruction and I'm like, oh wait, that didn't make any sense. And the only way I know that is because of how my students react physically. The look on their face, their posture, even the tilt of the head, which is amazing that we do that, right? Like a lot of animals do that when they're confused, and we kind of do that too sometimes. I notice that with my students, it's just the head tilts and the look of confusion starts, right? You're able to see me on this little screen here, right? And you can see all the animation behind what I'm trying to share. If I could see your face, I might be able to see you nodding off. But if you're right? Because we all engage in anyway. Or I could see that hey, like maybe this makes sense. I could see that we're connecting. But notice here on this Google Meet, when it's only a picture, you don't get any of that communication. And does that mean learning's ineffective? No, it just means it's not as effective as it could be. Your teachers are anxious to see your students' faces. And it's really important. It's a really important communication channel that we lose access to in this environment when your student chooses to not have their camera on. So we're asking that you work with your student to develop a pathway for them to have their camera on for every class. If they're just kind of easing into it, this is a great goal for some of our students who are signing into class and not having their camera on. You will see a change in how they're interacting with the teacher, how they get their questions answered. It will help guide teachers to be more effective in their teaching if they can see how students are reacting to their instruction. And this is going back to the role of a learning coach. This is where we need your help. Encouraging your student, working with your student, being really positive about having the camera on. Dress code isn't as much of an issue, so I know sometimes students would, I had this, I've been teaching for 15 years, they would color their hair, not be happy with the color, so they would come in and try to shy away from everyone. And most in-person schools have rules against ball caps and things like that, so poor kiddo, they're kind of stuck with it, right? This green or red color that they didn't expect, they now have to live with it. In this environment, we are more flexible. If your student would like to wear, an appropriate, of course, hat, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. If that helps them get on camera with their teachers, I'm sure that the teachers would very much appreciate or prefer a ball-capped student with their face showing than just a letter. Even in this screen that I'm sharing with you, now I can add my picture so at least you know that's me. Students, that feature has been turned off, so teachers only see a letter. They just see a letter, and they want to see how your student's reacting to their instruction. So we're asking that of you. So talked about the learning coach, talked about family engagement tools, talked about Taco Tuesday. Someday I won't laugh when I say it. Let's see, communication. So I have been also working with enrollment, and I'm hearing from families when I send them an email that sometimes that email ends up in a spam folder. I'm not sure why that's happening. And it makes me worry that some of the messages that are being sent out from the school or from your teacher might end up in your spam folder. One way to avoid that, and I wanted to share an inbox, like a dummy inbox with you tonight and actually walk you through the process, but I just don't have access to it. And with everything else going on in IT, didn't feel like it was really appropriate to request it. So we're just gonna have to imagine for a minute. Different email systems, Hotmail, Gmail, iCloud, whatever system you use, they're going to have the ability to filter. I highly recommend setting up a filter that pushes all emails that are coming in from @aps.edu. I think the filter will allow you to just use @aps.edu, and any email with an @aps.edu suffix is going to just get filtered. And set up the filter so that all of those messages just end up in a folder. This way, similar to how ParentVUE packages all of your school communications into one area, your personal inbox will also package those communications into one area. And like I said, please add this contact to your cell phone, add this phone number to a school contact in your cell phone. That way you know when you're receiving a call from this number, it's coming from the school. Feel free, my phone number is published on the website because I make a lot of phone calls. If you want to know it's me, please add me to your contact list, add this phone number there. I think because this phone is paid for by APS, I think on the other end, many times it comes up as a spam caller. I like to think I'm not spam. But unfortunately, that's how I'm showing up on the caller ID of cell phones, I believe. You can make that not happen by adding my contact or even your teacher's contact. If your teacher needs to give you a call, please add their phone number to your contact list so that you know it's them when they're calling. That would be fantastic. So that would be very helpful on the communication side for you to make sure that you're getting everything that is sent out. And like I said, those really important communications, school-wide communications, are going to be found here in school news, here in school events, and then on our monthly newsletter right here. All right, you can see that we have a lot of resources for families. Let's see, I do want to make sure I'm not skipping anything. I believe, hey, how do I know? I can come here to Dragon Lair Cafe and click on the description right here. Let's see, ParentVUE, strategies for making your inbox a more efficient tool. Yeah, I really recommend setting up filters. And then I shared those updates to our family engagement plan. May as well show it to you. Let me go ahead and show you that real quick. So let me go into Classroom. The best way to do this, to allow an activity to be presented and collect that activity from students, is through Google Classroom. So that's why this is the tool that we chose to use. Let me go ahead and, yeah, we won't see students if I open it up. Let me go ahead and choose 8th grade here. Right here, notice 8th grade's class of 2006. You'll find the activity under classwork. If your student doesn't have this invite, if they don't have an invite to an eCADEMY K8 Family Engagement Google Classroom, please send me an email, Montoya_V, give me your student's ID number and grade level, and I will make sure that they are invited. They're invited. This class code should be, let me go ahead and turn that off. We don't want students joining just because they want to join. So anyway, here's a video explaining what the Family Engagement Google Classroom is about. Under classwork, you're going to see the activity for this month, which is customizing your Chromebook's desktop. Students will learn how to take screenshots on a Chromebook. They'll learn how to use Canva to create, basically it's a flyer size that then gets added as a background. There's instructions, a video to watch for that. It's kind of cool. But if they want to go back to Canva to create birthday cards, they can. If they want to go back to Canva to create posters to turn in as an assignment, they can. Canva is a fantastic tool, and many of their resources are free. Some of them are paid for resources, so just so you know, not everything that they show is accessible without a fee, but a lot of it is. A lot of it is. So this is where we're going to have those activities. We hope you enjoy them, and we are looking for your feedback. So as these activities come out, one of them will be asking directly for feedback from families about what you would like to see from us as a school. So with that in mind, I do want to close with one just final note about communication. It's really important that we're able to reach you as a family and that we're able to communicate with you in this environment. We don't automatically see your kid after your kid. We don't automatically see your student after they get off the bus and walk into class. We don't see them on campus in between hallways. We don't see your student during lunch. I've done lunch duty forever. And as many times as I was redirecting a student who was doing something they weren't supposed to, I was also having conversations with students about their day and how things were going and making connections. In this online environment, we miss those opportunities. And if students aren't showing up to their meets, those opportunities then are also getting missed. And that's when your teacher may reach out to you and say, hey, what can we do to make sure your student is regularly in a meet, regularly with their camera on, engaged in instruction, and making that connection with the teacher that many of our teachers long for and many students long for. So as we make those efforts to reach out and communicate with you, look for those communications. If you can take the time to set up filters so that you make sure not to miss them, that would be fantastic. And look for a video that I'm going to try to create a video once everything's up and running again. You'll have access to ParentVUE again soon, I hope. Look for a video where I can share with you how to, oh goodness, my brain just broke. I think it was about how to use, how to better understand like the subjects line within ParentVUE Communications, although I think it was more dynamic than that. But that's okay. It's been a long day. It's been a long video. And in the future, we didn't have anyone come in and chime in with questions. I'm very open when we have these sessions for topic related questions, but also off topic related questions. Nothing personal, of course, because this is going to get streamed live. But reach out. Let's try to keep that communication open. And if you've joined us today, us today on this little journey, awesome. Thank you for being with us. And we will look forward to speaking to you again at the next Dragon Lair Cafe. All right. Thank you much. Have a great evening. And again, thanks for your time.